Hey, hello, good evening, everyone. So today we will start with React.Js. Finally, the second part, we have arrived the second part. Okay. So last week, what we did, we learned about Node.js and we created our very first API, right? And I have also given one assignment. Assignment 4 was to do the extension of the application that I have created using Node.js. So have you done it, guys? Who has submitted assignment 4? Just type done or submitted. Yes. Crude operations is done, then you are already ahead of the competition. If you have completed the API part, then you are already one step ahead, and you are ready to start. You are already on the league of the full stack development, right? Because on the front, the React.js is something which you will learn eventually. You will learn for sure. Okay. And if the crude operations you have achieved, then is it a restful or not? Maybe I will give a talk on that one, because there are some certain design principles which you have to follow whenever you are designing any API. So there is something like that, how you are naming the resources, okay, whether you are using proper HTTP status codes or not, whether you are using a standard success and error response or formats or not, payload format I'm saying. Okay, so whether you have those things or not, that is very important in your API, whether your API is following that part. So if you want to listen, you want to hear about that, then I will explain once. Maybe I will take another 10, 15, 20 minutes, then I will quickly explain what are the guidelines that you should follow if you are if you want your APIs to be RESTful. Now that there is a difference, because many developer thinks that if they are building something, if they are building normal HTTP APIs, they think they are building REST APIs. That is not actually true. Okay, so JSON response plus HTTP does not mean it is a RESTful API. So RESTful API is nothing but some sort of design principles which we have to follow in order to make it eligible to be RESTful. Okay, so API anyone can make, but whether it is RESTful or not, there are some certain rules which you have to follow. Okay, so if you go to this, I will share a link, just a minute. Yes, so I have written 2 articles on this thing, and what are the okay, so I'm sharing the link. I'm sharing the link for these articles. Let me just show it here. Yes, guys, it is visible. Is it visible? Yes. Okay. So here I have written one article. So are you sure your APIs are RESTful? So just go. Yes, I use multiple monitors, yeah, because it means in coding session it is necessary. Otherwise, I'll not be able to keep track on the chat and then coding. Okay, means I have to look for this chat as well, right? So in this article, I have described what is REST, okay, and what are the design principles of a RESTful API. You just go. This is a little bit a lengthy article, but if you want to get an in-depth knowledge on API and what is REST API, then I think you should go have a read. Okay, I published this article in this year only in August, and there is another article. Let me just share the link as well. Yes. So here I have mentioned about the 9 key areas where you should avoid mistakes. Okay. If you are designing the REST API. So what is it? Means what should be your endpoint? Okay. And here I have given all the formulas. I mean, this is the key article where you will get all the recipes to create all the RESTful APIs, right? So this is something which is a theoretical part, is more of a theoretical part. and this is something which is more of a is, you can say it's a cheat sheet, something like that. Okay, so here you will get all the definitions, means what is what and what is resource, how you should name the resource, how you should do versioning. Okay, how you can do resource associations, and what kind of operations that you can perform. That here I have mentioned that you can perform the CRUD operations, right? Like create, read, update, and delete operations. And which HTTP verb to use. Say for create, you can use post, right? And for to retrieve any data, you should use get. To update, you should use patch and put. But when to use patch, when to you use put, that I have mentioned in this article. And then to delete, you have to use the delete method for HTTP. Okay, so it is there. Then I have said that don't use more than 10 HTTP codes throughout your all of your APIs. Say you are in a large application, maybe you will have hundreds of APIs, hundreds of endpoints, but do not use more than 10. No, do not use more than 10 standard HTTP status codes. Okay, then it comes to data formats. In case of data formats, you should always have a default data format. Like normally nowadays we are building JSON APIs, but earlier, means when I started development in 2013 or 2012, then there used to be XML. Okay, and we have to write services in XML as well. So in that context, we had to build. At that time XML was necessary, but nowadays it is not required right now. And how you should do the error handling, and what are the different rules that you should follow. There is another sample, what I would say, payload is given in case of error comes. Okay, so these are the guidelines, and what are the security principles, how you can secure your API. So that, though I'm also preparing another document, means another Medium article on in depth of API security. So there you will get more knowledge on API security. So to do that, you can just follow me on Medium. So there I regularly publish articles, means at least I try to write 2 or 3 articles per month. Okay, and that is it, guys. So you can go check out my articles. I'm just sharing the link here on the chat. You can go and check from there. Yes, so this is my Medium URL, which you can follow me also. So you will get latest updates for the articles that I publish. Okay, so that is it, guys. I think how many people joined today? 68. The numbers are decreasing. Okay, means those people have not cleared the assessment 4. I guess that's why they are not joining. So if your friends are there, don't say, just tell them that do not to miss these live sessions. Okay, because last week maybe I have uploaded the session on YouTube on the day itself. Maybe it may take some time. Okay, for the next one. Okay, guys. So are you ready to start with React.Js? Okay, so let's not waste much time. So we have already 13 minutes gone. Okay, fine. So let's start with React.Js. So do you have any idea of what is React and all? What is React? So anyone has any idea? Okay, some are saying it's a front-end framework, some are saying it's a library, some are saying it's just a front-end framework, and some even are saying that it is no. They do not have any idea of what React is. Okay. Okay, fine. So I have got a mixed response from all of you. Okay, fine. Let me just give a quick introduction. So let me just give a quick history. So what is React means? What was there before React? Okay, so by that way you'll be able to understand about React more easily. So what used to happen previously? Say you are visiting facebook.com, right? So what used to happen before React? Say the year 2010. Okay, and the React was not there in the picture. Now you are requesting for your profile, you're requesting for your Facebook profile. So what used to happen? Facebook used to fetch the data from database. Okay, after fetching all the data, Okay, and by the time, do you know which in which language Facebook was first written? Means how in which version Mark Zuckerberg has written Facebook? You are aware about that? Not at all. React came in 2013. What was the language which Mark used to create Facebook? Only these few of you know Python, Java, PHP, React, and C++. C. Can you create user interface in C? Okay, saying every language in that is another thing. Okay, so Mark has started using, no, not at all, not Ruby, not Java, not C, C++. It was, some of you have given the correct answer. Mark has written the first version of Facebook in using PHP. Okay, so PHP is a language which you can learn. I think I have learned PHP in 10-15 days. Okay, so front end, back end, everything is sorted using PHP, and it is so easy to write PHP code. So after that, see, so I have worked on PHP for 2-3 years, and then I started Ruby, and it was very difficult for me to work on Ruby because PHP was so simple. Means you can create user interface, and you can create the database. It means you can easily get the database value, whatever data is stored on database. You can very easily get the data in the UI. Okay, so that made a bad habit when I started with Ruby, and that habit, due to that habit, means I messed up everything for the first 1 year. Then I started learning more about Ruby. Then I learned about what is the difference between a object oriented programming language and a normal normal non-object oriented language, programming language. Okay, so Mark has created the first version in PHP. Now assume, say you are requesting for the profile page. Okay, now what used to happen back then? So if you are requesting for profile page, so there are some certain queries which you have to run, right, to in order to get the data from the database. After running that query, the server used to create the whole page, means the whole HTML page, including the values inside it. Means that whatever page you were seeing right now today, if imagine if that page has to design in PHP, then PHP has to do all of the things. It will just replace the data part. Data means the dynamic content within the database values, like your name, your date of birth, your contact number, your location. It used to call data, it used to fetch data from the database, and it just used to replace the data in the resultant HTML file. Then it used to send the whole HTML file plus the CSS plus the images plus this some sort of JavaScript back to the browser. Okay, that means browser has everything to show. Means it has the HTML, it has the CSS, it has the JavaScript, it has the uh, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, yes, and the images as well. So everything is there. It comes to the browser, and browsers just easily displays it, right? So that was the earlier scenario. Now, what? Now you might say, so what is the advantage and disadvantage of that? What is the advantage? Advantage is, what is the advantage? Advantage means in the client side there is no load, right? I'm not coming to React right now. Okay, in the client side everything is, so everything would be, means browser do not have much to do, so they are getting every food. Means the server is doing this spoon feeding. Okay, so they are sending everything back to the browser, and browser is just showing the data in the what user wants to see. Okay, so that used to happen back then. Now what happened over the time, the client machines, means the kind of system that we are using right now today, so they're improved. Okay, means so we have now a lot of RAMs. Means back then we used to have 1 GB or 2 GB RAM in our system. Right now we have 816 GB RAM, right? We have now NVMe SSD cards. Okay, so we have DDR4 RAMs, we have graphics card and all in our system. So the client machines improved. Now, how the engineers, they thought that we are doing all the processing in the backend. Okay, means we are doing all the hard work to create the whole HTML file, and we are sending that HTML file to the browser. And they thought that why not just offload the responsibilities of the browse of the server and give some responsibility back to the browser. Okay, that means browse server would have less load. The individual client systems, individual client computers would have some responsibility to show the data to the user. Okay, by doing that, immediately the server, you say previously if would have served 100 people with with a 1 GB RAM, it used to have, it used to serve 100 people. Now by offloading its responsibilities to the client, now the server may it may serve 1,000 requests, right? I mean, the responsibilities of the server is reducing. So how they did that? That means some sort of compilation, some sort of intelligence you have to send to the browser on the initial load, and after that only server would only send the data that it requires to show on the UI. Understood? So that means that is something that React does. React and Angular and Vue.js, what it does, so initially the server sends a JavaScript file. Okay, so the beauty is that the server, the browser, it renders that it processes or reads the JavaScript file, and then depending on the page that you want to view, after that what happens, it just calls for the data. Now the data comes in JSON format. Okay, as I have mentioned, as we have created the last API using JSON. So first it sends the JavaScript file, okay, and a simple HTML file it sends back on the very first request. Okay, and that HTML file do not have anything. It can have only the title, it can only the empty body, it can have only one single footer. That's all. That is something that server can send from in its response. And apart from that, it also sends the JavaScript file. So now browser has two things. It has a very minimal HTML file and a very minimal CSS file, and it has some a JavaScript file. Now, from the next time onwards, the server is only sending the JSON in response, and the JavaScript engine that is sitting in the client's browser, they are just reading the JSON response. They are building the whole UI after that. Now imagine, so previously, so in the I think API in the API session, I have given one example of the CoWin, right? Do you remember that CoWin case study that I have given? Yes. So in that case study, I have shown you that for every page load, okay, say CoWin is designed using PHP in the old fashioned way, and every page load, the server has to send the HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and the images, and the whole page load takes 3 MB of data. Instead of that, if it could have been in React and there is only JSON file, say for the React is of I think 50 KB, if it is gzipped, means in the production build, okay, and you send the JSON data only. So JSON data is normally 4-5 KB. So within 55 KB, you will get the same kind of a user interface in your front end, and images will come eventually later on. That depends on the compression that you have, and you can, the beauty is that you can also lazy load those images to your browser to say first the page comes, then one by one the images come from the server. Like in Flipkart nowadays, you see if you visit the website, you see a blurred version of the image, and after a few seconds the image comes, right? Am I correct? Have you seen the behavior in Flipkart? You see first a very blurred version of an image, and then after some time a new fresh image comes. So Flipkart is one platform that is built totally on React. Okay, even their mobile application is built using React, not the React version, not the web React, but they are using React Native to build their mobile UI. Not only that, Instagram is using React Native for their application, and therefore the server side they're using React. Facebook, Facebook is the means they have created React. That means by default they are using React in the web, and for the mobile also they are using the React Native. Okay, so you understood what I am saying? Is it clear, guys? So you will learn more whenever whenever I will go in deep, means you will understand it more. Difference between React Native and the one we will learn. Now, React Native is out of the scope of this internship program. That is something which itself it will take a month or 1.5 month. Maybe in future we will plan some event or we will plan some program. All right. So let's see what is the formal definition of React. Okay. So the first point, very important and a very simple one. React is a JavaScript library. So those who are talking about it is a framework. No, it is not a framework. It is a library. You can use the React in any existing project. Say if you have an existing project which is running for 5 years, you can use React there as well. Okay. Whereas Angular is a framework, so you cannot use there directly. So you have to do some sort of manipulation in order to include Angular to that project. Okay. Second, React runs on the client or the browser. Okay, as a SPA. SPA means a single page application. Okay. What is the third point? Third point is React is, I think I have already mentioned, is the software that is designed by Jordan Wood, a software developer at Facebook, and later they open sourced it in the year 2013. Right. So another beauty of React. Okay. So let me give another example. So now what used to happen traditionally, say your website, say you are visiting facebook.com. So before React, what used to happen, all the JavaScript files, CSS file that the website needs, it used to send those files in every request, right? Say in listing page, you need a JavaScript file, and say in details page, you need a separate JavaScript file. But before React, they used to send all of them at once in the very first load, and in every page load, all the CSS, JS, images, everything comes. Normally CSS and JS, all file comes once again. Okay, and after React, what happens is that you can load page specific JavaScript file. Means for listing page, say you can load one JavaScript file. For details page, you can load one JavaScript file. For you are chatting with someone, for that to add that behavior, to use that behavior, it can load another JavaScript file in background. Okay, all of these things can happen in background. Maybe you will not be able to see what is happening, but all the JS file will download in background. It will sit on your browser, and whether you are reloading the page 1,000 times, it will just search that file from your local cache. Okay, so what is the difference between React and React Native? React is something which is a library that is used to build single page web applications. Means whatever, see the website you can build using React, and React Native is something through which you can build mobile applications. And what is the great advantage of React Native? You just write your code once, you will be able to ship, you will be able to use that code to give a iOS build. At the same time, you'll be able to give a Android build. So write a code once and get two applications, one for iOS and one for the Android. So for Android application, you do not have to know about Java. If you some people have some fear of Java. Okay, so they no need to learn Java. They only need to learn the JavaScript. If you know JavaScript well, and you can create an application, you can create a mobile application in React Native. So isn't that cool, guys? So write once, you will get two applications, 1+1 free. React plus React Native are a little bit different in terms of syntax, because what happens, React Native talks, means the every line of code that you are, means the kind view related code you are writing, it interacts with the systems library. Okay, so in that way the components are different, but they are already defined, but the core principles, the philosophy is same. Okay, so if you would learn React first, then it would not take much time to learn React Native. Okay, so if you would learn React say in 2 months, then you will learn React Native in 1 month only. Okay, but React Native has some other things as well, like it has access to the hardware, so which say React application do not have. Means the say React Native can access the GPS, it can access the your mobile phone's camera, it can access the microphone, it can access the gyroscope, something like that. So it has access to all the background resources, means all the say Bluetooth, NFC, so it has access to that. Okay, so let me show you one of the example. And yes, you can see the number of applications that is built on top of React Native. Facebook is there, Instagram is there, Shopify is there. Yes, the Flipkart, our beloved Flipkart is there. Then Skype is there, Tesla, Uber Eats. This is I think Walmart. So all of these applications are created using React Native. Discord, the Discord, same Discord channel that we are using, it is built on top of React Native. Okay, and then what is there? This is something. This is in their showcase, and there are thousands of applications that is available. That is built on top of React Native. Okay. Then should not we learn React Native immediately? If your focus is in mobile development, then after React you can obviously start with React Native. Okay, so I think I have shown you these slides, and these are the companies who are using React. That is Facebook, Netflix, and then Airbnb, Dropbox, Twitter. They are all using React for their applications. Okay. Now let's talk. Let's go a little bit deep into React. So what is there inside React? So there are a lot of things to learn. Okay, there are a few key concepts, like you just note down the names. First is component, second is props, third is state, fourth is lifecycle methods, fifth is the hooks, sixth is the context. So these are the few basic things you have to learn in React. Okay, so you will get those things mostly in the course that I have given, Udemy course. There is another very good course in Udemy which I would recommend, and that is from, I think, what is the name? So I just forgot the name of the creator. Just I will share the link. So if you want, then I will share the link in the chat. You can get it from someone. Either you can download it or you can purchase the course. That course is very good, means you will get a very detailed understanding how React works, what are the few basic components. Okay, and what are the lifecycle methods, how you can pass properties, how you can use hooks, how you can use context. So those things are something which is very important to learn. Okay, so more quickly you start those things, more quickly you will be able to apply your React knowledge in your final project. Okay, so what is the heart of React component? What is there? What is the basic thing? It is called component. So every UI that we see in a React enabled website, if a website is created using React, so every element that we see, means what is visible on the browser, everything is a component. Okay, so component is something which is heart of React. So say this is a component which is a piece of UI. It is independent, it is isolated, it is reusable. Okay, that means you can design a piece of UI. Say you have designed a button, you can use that. It is independent. That button should be independent, means that button you should keep it in isolated location. Okay, which you can reuse in multiple pages. Say you have 10 different pages and you need that same button in 10 pages with the same behavior. Okay, so in that case you should create one basic React component, means the button component, and you should use the piece of UI in other components as well. Now say you have created one button component. Similarly, you can create one navbar component. Similarly, you can create a card component. Similarly, you can create a form component and you can use that UIs together. So what happens? Multiple components are built are combined together to build a complex UI. So nothing is complex. Everything starts with small, simple steps. Similarly, here it is the case for the components as well. So whatever UI you see on the browser, it is a combination of all small components. Okay, I will give another detailed example of LinkedIn. Okay, so as I said, the multiple components come together and build a complex UI. Okay, so now in React, every there is a you can see it's a tree of component. Okay, so on the top level you have the app component. So inside that app component, you can have multiple components like navbar. Inside application, you can have a navbar, you can have a profile, you can have a news feed, you can have a new post. Okay, so let me take you to the LinkedIn. You'll be able to relate this example more quickly. Say this LinkedIn is developed using React. Assume LinkedIn is created using React. So now the whole component, the whole page, whatever you are saying, it is a app component. Okay, that's what I mentioned. Now inside that app component, you have navbar, you have this profile section, this part, you have this new post section, you have the news feeds here, you have the messaging section here. Now inside this news feed, you can say here multiple news feeds are coming. So here for every feed, so there is a card, right? So a news feed section has multiple cards. Now every card has some other child component as well. Like say this one has a like button, this one has a comment button, this one has a share button, this one has a send button. So these things can be separate component as well. So the whole thing is a component. Inside that, say this navbar is another component, this sidebar is another component, this new post is another component. Are you getting my point, what I'm saying? Yes. Okay, so inside, so one component can have another smaller component inside. Means this card component, see inside this card we have this like button. Okay, so component can come together and build a UI. Means these components are coming together and building this whole postcard. Okay, means the card for this post that Raikishore has written, or card for this post that Vipul has written. Okay, so this is the key concept. So now you'll be able to understand the tree of components, what I'm suggesting right now. So tree of components is nothing but in the top you have one component. Say I have a app component. After that you have navbar. After that you have the profile. You have the news feed. You have the new post. Okay, and inside that news feed that I have shown you that there are multiple cards, and inside every card there is a like button, there is a comment button. So are you getting my point? So can you combine React with such React or such with Bootstrap, right? For styling, of course, you have to do some styling. For that, Bootstrap is required. So React will only make the UI smart. And if you want to use the existing Bootstrap, say in Bootstrap there is a like button. So the button is there, the card UI is there. If you want to use that, that is fine. That you can use. Okay. Yes, React Bootstrap is there, which is a more React-like version of Bootstrap. Okay, so now let's see how a simple React component look like in code. Okay, so this is a simple React component. Okay, so there are two types of component. You just take a note for this thing. There are two types of component. One is class component, another is functional component. Okay, this is the class component. Inside class component, there are several life cycle methods, okay, which you will learn eventually after I finish this session. I will share you the course, and there you will learn about these things more. Okay, so in class component you can have multiple life cycle method. Means every component has a life cycle. Means whether the component has rendered on the UI or not, whether the component is visible on the UI or not, whether the component is going to update or not. Okay, so there are different life cycle for, there are different means stages for every component. Okay, and so render is something which is a method that you have to define inside a component. If you are defining a class-based component, then it should have at least this render method. Okay, you can use other lifecycle methods, that is optional, but render is something which is mandatory, which you have to define a render method. So what render does, it gives us a piece of UI. So what is visible to the user. Okay, so this part, this h1 tag that we are showing here, that we are returning here, is a React element. Okay, so how that works in action, so I will show you once I create a new project on React, then I will show you on live coding. Okay, so now another important concept. Oh, you want to know this week task? Complete. You want to go somewhere? You want to leave somewhere? Okay. Then please stick. Is it clear now? Is it clear now? I think there is some issue. My Zoom is also giving me signal that your voice is not great. Okay. Okay, fine. I think it is clear now. So another important concept in React. So you just take a note. I'm repeating. So there are two types of component. One is the class-based component. One is a functional component. Inside the class-based component, you have several lifecycle methods. Using that lifecycle method, you can tap to the specific events that is happening for a component. Okay, so you will learn about those methods more in the course that I will share. And after this life cycle method, there is another type of component that is called a functional component. So how to write functional component? That is something I will show you today. Okay, how to write a functional component, and that is a more easier version of, means it's more easy to write the functional component. Okay, yes. So class-based things are normally a little bit of complex and difficult, I know, but functional components are a little bit easier. You do not have any render function or anything like that. You just have to return a piece of UI, and it is this functional components are fine with it. Okay, so another very important concept, that React has, that is called React maintains a virtual DOM. So are you aware about DOM? That is what is DOM, you know? I think you have learned in the JavaScript section of the course. Yes, what is DOM? Document Object Model. Means what it does, whatever UI is visible to us, okay, JavaScript parses that UI and creates a document. Means it creates object for every element that is visible on the UI, and every object can have their children as well. So that is called something that is called the structure of elements. I think you have answered it right. It's something, the structure of the whole HTML in object oriented way that is visible. Okay, so now what React does, React maintains a virtual DOM. A virtual DOM is something which is an exact replica of the real DOM. Say on this screen, if that on the right hand side, there is a real DOM. Okay, the yellow ones are real DOM. Okay, the real DOM object. What React does, it creates an exact replica of the actual DOM. Okay, and then yes, so this is that. On the right hand side we have the real DOM, on the left hand side we have the virtual DOM. Now what it does, say there is a button on this React scene. Inside React there is a button. Okay, If you press this button, it compares with that actual DOM. It replaces the actual DOM with that new press button. Or say this is a checkbox which you have checked, and it will replace that same component in the real DOM. Okay, that is something, maybe one reason why React is so fast, because it maintains this virtual DOM. It constantly checks whether there is a difference between the real DOM and the virtual DOM. If anything happens in the, say, every UI component that you will build, it is on the virtual DOM. If any changes happens on the virtual DOM, it replaces the original DOM. Okay, that is something which happens in React. So let me summarize this thing. If we would, from the last slide, what we have learned, React actually reacts to the state change. If any component changes, it reacts to it and it changes the actual real DOM. Okay, so what is state? The state is something which is the state of the component. Say like your mood. So if your mood is okay, then you will attend this class. If your mood is not okay, then you will not attend this class, right? So that is something, the state or some mood of a component. So if their mood of a component is fine, then it will not change. If something happens in that mode, then it will reflect for sure. Okay, so let's get started, guys, with today's session on React.Js. So now we will have some hands-on on React. So would you like to have a hands-on or more theory, or would you like to see React in action? Are you excited to see React in action? Okay, if you are not excited, then I will not be able to excite you. Means I will not be that much motivated to do this screen sharing session. Okay, so these are the few basic requirements that you should have installed, or these are the few basic prerequisites that you should have in your system. First, there should be Node.js. I think it is already installed, right? Second, there you should have npm. I think it is there. Third, there is it is optional, means you can have npm or you can have yarn. And the fourth thing is you should have the create React app. This is a npm or yarn module which you should install in your system. Okay, if you can globally install this thing, that would be better. Create React app. And let me let me take you to the website. Okay, so we'll get start. That is something which you have to do when if you want to create any application. Okay, is my internet is stable now? It is saying my internet is not stable. Yes. Okay, so now as this part is ready, okay, now let me share my screen. Okay, just confirm me once whether it is visible, guys. My terminal is visible to you? No, not at all. Okay, fine. Oh, 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 sorry. It is here. Is it visible to all of you? I think it is visible. Okay. So do you remember the last day we have created the APIs for posts, right? Post listing and post create, that API. Yes. So we will use those APIs in our new React application. Isn't that great? We'll use those APIs in our application. We will learn how to make a call to those APIs that we have created. So those APIs are useless until we use those, right? So I will create a new React application, the client block station. Yes. So voice is not coming, guys. Is it okay? Okay. I think I have some sort of issue with my network. So this is the command for creating a new React application. npx create React app, then your application's name. Okay, so I'm saying my application's name is first blog application. So I will create this application. So it will take some time. Let's wait for a few seconds. Okay, so our application is ready. Now application is ready. So let me take you through the what happened here. So once we created this application, it what it did, it installed few packages. Okay, and at the same time, yes, it is saying success, created first blog app at this physical location. Inside the directory, you can use this commands. To start the application, you can run this command called npm start. Okay, it will start the development server. You can also build the application for production. Okay, whenever you will deploy this application to a production server, so you can run npm run build. Okay, that is something. These are the two commands which we normally use. So now it is, we would suggest you that you begin by typing cd. Yes, it is done. Now let's open this thing in core editor. Yes, so first blog app is ready. Now it is saying that npm start. Okay, so I would, instead of npm, I use yarn. So I would just type yarn start. Okay, so after I started this application, I think it is started properly. Yes, so it is running in localhost 3000. Okay, so as you can see, it is in the terminal, it is coming compiled successfully. You can view the first blog app in your browser. In local, you can visit this localhost 3000, and in your network, you can visit this URL called something like that. This is my IP address. Okay, and inside that, here it is. Here it has compiled all the files that is there inside. So it is giving the information. Okay, so which file is how much size? So it is giving all the information. So if I would visit this web page, so right now it is done. Our application is ready. So it is running properly in React.Js. Now there is a very cool extension that is present on the browser. So there is an extension called React Dev Tools. Okay, so if you go to these Chrome extensions, Chrome Web Store, so there you will get one extension called, you search with React, there you will get one extension called React Developer Tools. You just go ahead and install this extension in your browser. So what will happen, you will be able to inspect what is happening here in this React send. Okay, so you will get one components tab here on the page. So there you will be able to see there is only one component, that is the app component. Like what I have mentioned, that app is a root component. Okay, so if whenever we will write more components, it will come inside that. And there is one profiler is there, but that is not, which is our interest. Okay, now let me take you through the code that got generated right now. Okay, so this is our first blog application. So the command that we have executed, that create React tab in the application name, it has created this application. Fine. So in this application, you see there is a package.json file. So inside this package.json file, there are a few dependencies. So these are some testing related dependencies, which you can ignore right now. But there are two major dependencies that is there. First is this React, and then there is a React DOM. These are the two libraries which is required whenever we are working with React. Okay, and there is another third library, which is React scripts. Means it has added because we want to execute these commands called npm start, npm build. For that, the scripts got added. Okay, and similarly, as we have these scripts, it has executed this npm install command, and through which this package log.json got generated. So inside that, we have all the dependencies that these packages have. Okay, this is something which we can ignore. There is another folder called public, which we can ignore for now. Okay, so as I have mentioned in my earlier part of today's session, that what happens is that in case of React, say if Facebook is created using React, then they would only send a simple HTML file. Okay, so for this application, you will see only this simple HTML file. There is nothing inside it. See, this is, if we would remove these comments, there will be nothing. Inside head, we have few meta tags. Okay, like the viewport, the theme color, the description. Okay, and there is the title, and inside body we have this no script something, and there is a simple div with id root, and there is nothing. But though there is nothing, the UI is coming properly, right? Here in our browser, we can properly see that there is some text, there is some spinner is loading, but it is not there in this HTML. Okay, this is where this component comes into the picture, this document.id root. So what is happening, React is looking for this component, and it is injecting its all compiled version of the UI inside this component. So if you inspect this whole page, you will get this div with id root, and all the UI is coming inside that. So you will see, so here the HTML is pretty simple. Here inside HTML, you will see this default meta tags are coming inside head, and inside body, you will see this no script tag, and there is a root tag. Sorry, the div with the ID root. So inside ID root, you will see there are some components are coming, which is not written here in this index.html. Okay, this is something which is generated by the React. Okay, so it is generated or it is compiled from the React. So are you getting my point? How React is injecting the UI here? Yes. Okay. Only one, others are not understood what is happening. Please let me know, guys. Otherwise, I will think you are sleeping. Okay. Understood? Okay. So now let me take you through other file. There is an icon and there is a few images which is not required. So let's skip these parts. Public is something which is not in our interest. So what is in our interest? What is inside this src folder? Okay, so inside this src folder, the first file is the index.js file, which is in our interest. We have interest. So I will remove this file called app.test.js. So that is not required. Okay, so inside, what is inside this index.js is very important. Here, this is a JavaScript file. Here we have imported this React component. We have imported the React DOM component. We have imported a CSS file, and there are something called app which we have imported. Okay, this is the app component, our primary root component. Okay, so now what is happening? The React DOM, from React DOM we have this method which is a render function. So we are calling this render function, and here we are saying we can remove these parts also. It is not required here. Strict mode or something like that is not required. For the sake of example, I'm just removing these things. Okay, so now what React DOM is rendering, it is rendering the application by, it is looking for this document.getElement by id root. So are you getting this point? So here are you getting the point? Here it has id root. Now the React is replacing this id root with whole app component. This is one very key file in this application. So you have to understand this thing. So is it clear? In this line, it is replacing this document.getElement by id root with these app components. This is something, what is inside app component? We will see just in few minutes. Okay, what is inside this app component? Understood? It is just replacing. Here it is replacing this document.getElement by id with root. Okay, fine, understood. Now let's see what is inside this. So we'll remove these things. These are all unnecessary right now. Okay, so we can also remove this index.css, that is also not required. We will keep it. So inside this app, what is there inside this app? Okay, till now, till this part, we have not created any single component. Now let's see how we can use a component. Now inside this app.js, okay, so here they have imported the logo file, means the logo svg file, which is there in this here in this folder, and they have loaded the app.css, which is not required, but they have loaded. Okay, fine, leave it. So this is something which I was calling a functional component. So just you can see the functional component is very simple. Instead, if we would have written a class-based component, it would have been something like class app extends react dot component, something like that. So it would have been written something like that. Okay, so there would have been a render method which you have to implement. So it goes like that. Instead of that, you are just writing a simple function. You are just giving it a name, and there is you are returning some UI. That is all. That is how simple a React component is. It's just a simple function which is returning some sort of UI, and after that, it is just exporting that component. It is just exporting this function. Another 15 minutes. Okay, so is it clear? A simple function which is returning some UI component. Okay, now let's change something here. Okay, so let's change this hello. Hello everyone. Okay, now once you save it, if you just visit your browser, you will see it reflects. You do not have to refresh in React. Okay, I will just uncomment this app index.css. Once I just save it, it will refresh here automatically. Nothing is you have to do. Okay, the refresh happens automatically. You do not have to restart the server, do not have to recompile the server, anything like that. It happens automatically. It's called I think hot reloading or something like that. It's called. Okay, so now this is the function. This is the component. Now let's create a new component. No, React runs on the server side, not server side. It's runs on the browser. Means it runs on the server side means you have to deploy this application on the server. Okay, it stays on the server. Everything stays on the server. Okay, React is something which you have to deploy separately. Apart from your API, you have to deploy separately on the server. Okay, means you have to do a production build and then you have to deploy on server, and you will get a means like I'm accessing the website in localhost 3000. Similarly, you will be able to access that application in similarly in some host name or some port name or IP address using that. Okay, so like you all know Scout Live, right? You all know, right? Scout Live. Yes. Okay, so Scout is built on top of React. So you will be able to understand a lot of things here inside how Scout is working. So if you check this component tree, you check how many components are there inside Scout. Thousands of components are written here. Yes, every single thing is a component here. Okay, so it is built on React, and this is one of my first applications which I have written in React. It's built on top of React and Redux, and you will also learn what is Redux and all, how you can use Redux. Okay, so what happens? Say you are in the test page. Okay, so this application would load only the JavaScript file required to load this test page. Once you hover your mouse to this practice, it is so intelligent that it immediately download this JS file that is required to show the practice page. It will immediately do that once you hover your mouse. Okay, so this is one example of a React component, and it is one of the very complex application that we have built, because there are the test modules, the practice modules are there. So it is running in server, right? So it is running in server. Now what is happening? So if you refresh this page, so you know how to check this network tab, right? Now you see you got the application here, and there are some JS file that is getting downloaded here. Okay, so and some files gets downloaded in background as well. Okay, so say I'm on the practice page, and it knows I can go inside a practice details page, so it automatically downloads the practice details JavaScript file after that. So say inside this test page, it automatically downloaded that JS required to show this test details. That's why once I click the test, it makes the network call, but it all automatically loads that those scripts on the background. Okay, so there are a lot of things to learn here in React. How you can do the code chunking, what is the PRPL pattern. Okay, so there are a lot of concepts to learn here in React. So it is a very interesting thing if you are someone who wants to use your UX or UI to make something super fast or something like that. So you have to stick with React, and a lot of experiment that you can do using this network profile or the performance tab or something like that. Okay, so there is an option in these Chrome which says Lighthouse. You know what is Lighthouse? It checks the performance of your web page, and it rates it. So it is from Google. So now let's say if we test this our application call, which is localhost 3000, it will check that server, it will give the rating, means what is the score and what. See, it is giving this application 73 in performance. Other cases, SEO, best practices, accessibility is 100, but it is giving 73 because it is in the development build. Once you will make a production build, your application will be much faster and you will get a much better score. Now let's go back to our terminal, and you already know, right? Last day we created few APIs, and I think you have done this to-do list, right? Have completed these things, these to-dos. That was the assignment 4, right? So let's consume these APIs in our React application. Okay, so for that we need few more libraries here inside React. So what will happen, that we have to make a network call, right? We have to fetch the data from this node server. So which is this node application is running in 3001 port, and we have to get that data from 3001 port. To get that, we need a library called Axios. So I will add, say, yarn and Axios. Axios is something which is a library that is used to do data fetching. Then you can also submit the data. Okay, means it is used to make the network calls. It's a very popular one. So there is another free one that is a fetch. Sorry, not a free one. That is a one community one that is available, which is called Fetch. You can also use Fetch, but I prefer using Axios because they give some promises, which is very easy to use to do the error handling and all. Okay, so once we have added Axios in our application, so here we will create one component, one new component. I will name it as a, say, post list.js. Okay, so every component starts with import React from React. I will name the function as, say, post list. Sorry, yes, and I will export it as default post list. Fine, and I should return some sort of UI. Say here I will return say h1 tag posts. Okay, so our simple component is ready. So this is a simple function which is returning some sort of UI. Okay, so now let's import this component here. Let's do the import post list from post list. Now what we will do is that we will remove all of these unnecessary things. So this React logo, this learn React thing. Now how to use this component? So here we have defined the component. Now let's see, we can use the component like that. Okay, we just called the component, we just printed it here. Now let's go back to our browser. Yes, as you can see, it's already ready, right? It is reloaded properly. Okay, so the post is coming, and let's go to our posts. Now here we have to make a network call from here. Okay, so here few key concepts that will come once again. First thing is the props, means if you want to pass any additional data with this component, say in this component here we have a say text, say const welcome text is equal to something hello world. Okay, so and you want to pass this data to, you want to make this data available in this post list. Now how we will do that? You can pass it something like, say text equals this welcome text, or similarly you can also do welcome text equals welcome text. This part is something which you can do anything, so like text or title, something like that. Okay, now it is there, it is available. It means you have written it here, and we do not have any error on the on this React send. Now what we will do is that we have to get this data back in this component. Okay, so this is something which is called props or properties, is the abbreviation, is something props, right? This is called a props. This is the property of this component. Okay, so in order to get these props, functional component has access to the props here by default. Okay, so now, okay, now let's console log these props, like props, sorry, yes. Now let's see if the props is printing here on the console. As you can see, it is printing the title properly, right? You can have n number of, you can have n number of props here. Title, you can say description. Here you can simply give a simple string also. There you can give hello world, my name is Abhishek. Okay, so if you refresh, you can see I'm printing these props from the post list component. Okay, so here I have access to this title and description. So now you can print the values, like, so now let's see, I want to print these values inside this component. So how we will do that? Say we want to have it inside h1 tag, and we will make it a h2 tag, sorry, h3 tag. Okay, so now here inside this h1 tag, and here we will have another h2 tag. So one for title, one for description. So now let's see, I want to show this title and description here in the UI. Okay, so how we will do that? Simply we can use this curly braces to print any dynamic values or any values from which we have, means any JavaScript values. Okay, variable values. So here we can print, say props dot title, and similarly we can print props dot description. Okay, just save it, go to your browser, and it is, voila, it is ready. Hello world, my name is Abhishek. So this is coming properly, and the post is at, it was a static text. So that is something which is called props. Okay, now there is another shorthand version of writing props which you can write. It is called a restructuring in ES6. Okay, from these props you can directly get the title and the description, and all of these two will be defined as a constant. Okay, so here you can, instead of writing props to title, you can only write this simple title and simple description. Okay, as you can see, it is working. This is called restructuring of any object or anything which has multiple attributes inside it, key value pairs or anything like that. Okay, that means our props is fine, working fine. So now there are few key concepts that is called state and hooks. So we will use the use state and use effect. So what are these two things? I will explain in more detail in later section in next week's section. What is use effect and what is use state? Okay, I will explain a little bit more in detail later on. But for the time being, let me just use these things. Means I will make the network call. That's why I'm using these things. Okay. Make the network call. Okay, here I will design data, set data. Just stay with me. I will just let me initialize. Let me set up few things, and I will also import the Axios from Axios, like the library that I will use to do the network call. Okay. Now let me explain what I have written here. Okay, so here I have imported two new things. One is called use state, another thing is called the use effect. So these are called hooks, right? So these are called hooks. Use state, use effect, these are all hooks. Now what I have said, that in the class-based component, you can use the lifecycle methods, right? Like how when a component is rendering, when it is unmounting, when it is mounting, you can use those you can use those lifecycle methods. Now what will happen if in functional component we need these lifecycle methods? Okay, that is something which cannot do anything, right? We cannot use this lifecycle method. But what these hooks does, it gives us access to these lifecycle methods. Okay, so using this use effect hook, we can tap on the on the lifecycle method, which is used to know when a component is rendering. So here inside this console, here inside this use effect, if we do a console log rendering component, okay, so here if I would do rendering component, if I would save this data, so now you will see whenever it is rendering, this piece of code is executing. Okay, that means this component is rendering. Okay, so that is why here we will write our network call. Fine. So to make a network call, we have to start our server, that is that Node API server. To do that, we will use this Node.js, Node index.js. Our server is running in port 3001. Let's see whether it is working. 3001/post, right? Yes. So here we have this list of posts. So we have to make a network call to this endpoint, right? To this endpoint. To do that, we will use this Axios library. Okay. So Axios. So as we know, this is a get method. So Axios has a get method which takes this URL. Okay. So once the response is ready, then it gives us some promises through which we will get all the response. We will get the access to the response. So let's do a console.log response dot data, and it also gives us access to the error. Sorry, it is in the catch block, like it's a simple exception block that we normally write in programming. Error. Okay, we will also print the error here. Now let's see if we print the error here. Yes, so our network call is ready. Means here we are making the network call. Okay, we are trying to get the resource that is there, that is running in this server, and then if the response comes successfully, we are printing it. If something is wrong, we are printing the error. Now let's go back to this application and let's see what is happening. What is happening here in the network tab? We can see we are getting one error, that is a very important error to know. That is called coarse error. Okay, I'm getting a coarse error. Coarse error is something which you will often get whenever you are working with APIs. It is called the cross origin resource sharing error. Means this 3001 server is blocking our request. Means this request is going from this 3000 port, right? And the server is running in 3001 port. So this server is checking that this request is not coming from the same port. It is coming from a different port. That is why it is blocking that resource. So you have to allow this resource in the server side, in the Node API side. To do that, there is a library called CORS npm. If you search with CORS npm, you will get this beautiful library which you can use or you can add in your project. To add that, we will add as yarn add CORS. The CORS is ready. So now we will go back to our Node API. Here we would const CORS equals require CORS, right? And we will use this CORS here, say app.use CORS. Okay, so once it is done, we have to restart our server. Now this is one problem. So who faced the problem that every time we are changing the code, we have to restart the server to check. So today I will solve the problem. So have you faced the problem? Same problem, guys? Yes, someone saying use node1. So node1 is something which is the answer. So here in the npm, you search for node1. Okay, you add node1 to your project. So instead of typing node space index.js, you just I would just add nodemon. It is done. Now I would start the server called nodemon index.js. Okay, sorry, I think I have done some error. Yes, it should be in string. Yes, as you can see, once I change the code, it started automatically, right? That means it is reloading. Now let's go back to our browser. So last time we got this error. Let's refresh this page and the data is coming. So if we check the network tab, here we are getting all the data, these posts that we are getting. Now the problem is that we have to make this data available to this UI, right? We have this data inside, say in our React application, say we have this const data equals response.data. Okay, or say data is something. So now we have to make this thing available here inside this part, this section. To do that, so we cannot do it directly. Okay, so that's why we use this use state hook. Okay, so what is this use state hook? We will learn more in the next session, but for now I will use it only. There is a set data method here. I will just pass this response.data. Okay, so now if I would print this data part here in the console log, what will happen is that you will see that there the data is coming. Now you see there are 3 different console logs is coming. This is very important. Now you just take a look what is happening. So this first console log is coming from line number 24. Now the strange thing is that the next console log is coming from line number 11, and then again 24 is coming. Now what is happening? Why it is coming first from the line number 24, then from the line number 11? Why is it so? Why it is coming like that? Because this state, these things, means this use effect or something, it takes some certain time. Before that, this return function works. So now what will happen, as I said in the presentation, that actually reacts to the state change. Means it checks if anything changes in its state, then it actually replaces the actual DOM. Now here in this case also it is happening similar thing. So initially this data means the data that we are printing here in line number 24, it is an empty array. But whenever a network call is happening, this data, we are setting the data's value to the response from whatever we are getting from the response. That means the value for this data is changing in that case. And then what React is doing, React is saying that this data has changed. That's why I have to again re-render this component. That is why it is re-rendering once again, and it is printing this console log once again from line number 24. So this is something which is a little bit complex for now. You will understand it more whenever you will start with React.Js fully. Okay, so just let me quickly just show the result. I can also rename it as, say, posts. Okay, I will get it as posts here. Now we will see posts dot, there is a map option, post okay, so here we will write one div, another div. Inside that we will have a h1 tag. Inside that we will have the, so post has a title, right? So we will print post dot title. Similarly, we will post p, post has the content, right? What else post has? Post has the content. Save. Done. So if I would go back to our application, as you can see, yes, post is coming properly, right? Let's remove these prints from here. Post is coming. Every time I refresh, it is coming instantly. So that is how our network call is happening. So I think that is it, guys, for today. It is 1 hour 30-minute session already. And so how was it, guys? So I think you will learn more about React. There are a lot of things that you can do, and this is just the beginning. I'm just saying, okay, there are a lot to explore for all of you. Okay, so and what are the minimum concepts of JS? You can just, if you have a simple concept of JS, like the objects and the variables, loops, okay, arrays, how to work with that, then that is fine. Okay, so are you excited, guys? Are you excited for that? Okay, so your today's assignment, right? This week's assignment is something like, you have already created the APIs, right? In your application. So you start with React, whatever the course that I will give, I will share the details. So you start with that course, okay, and you start with that course, and you create your new React application and integrate those APIs that you have created. So assessment 5 will be something which is linked to the assignment 4. So in assignment 4, you have created these APIs. You create a new UI for posts here, and you just render all the details or all the posts. Now what will happen? You also create one form through which you can create a new post. So you have an API, right, for creating a post. So you create a form there, you try to create a new post. So whatever, say on the left hand side, you are showing on, say, on the top part, like what is there in the Facebook. So on the top, there is a form to create a post, right? Say if I would visit LinkedIn now, say assume it is LinkedIn. Okay, on top there is a form to create a new post. So you also do the same thing, and on the bottom part you show all the post that is created, right? So that would be one thing that I think it will be a little bit, yeah, it is challenging, but if you can crack it, then there is nothing that you cannot achieve. Okay, so yes, so is it challenging, guys? So till now we have done a little bit of easier task. Yes, using React. So till now we have done some easier tasks, like creating portfolio, weather application, and this is some serious stuff is going to come now, because the final project is way tougher than this one, right? So you have to learn how form work and all the things. So that is it, guys. So I will share the details, and I will share the assignment details more. Yes, Meet is saying which extension you are using to make the size imported packages visible. I think I found some extension on the internet. I think it is visible. If you Google it, you will find it. It is, I don't know his exact name. Sorry, Meet. So if I can yes, someone has already given answer. Okay, so that is it, guys. So I will share the more details of the assignment 5 in detail. Okay, can I repeat the task? So UI is something which you can copy for what is there on LinkedIn. So you just create a form here, and on the bottom you just show a card of your post. That is it. So there is an author name right in the top. So you show the author name, and there is a date. Okay, here you show the date. Here you show the title, and here you show the content. That is it. What is required. So you have to create a similar thing like what is there on LinkedIn. So on top you create a form, and in the bottom section you create another component for showing the list of posts. Okay, so that is it. Okay, so I will share the recording as soon as possible. Okay, so guys, that is it for today. I think how to deploy. Deploy is something. I think you should go to Netlify. So they have a free deployment option. Netlify. Sorry, Netlify, not Netflix. Netlify. We go to Netlify. It is easy to deploy here any React application. Yes, so I'm shared the link. So it is not possible in GitHub pages. It is possible. You have to build the application and then you can push. Yes, after building the application, you can push the thing. I think it is better to learn. There are a lot of ways to deploy a React application. You can create an NPM process. You can create just a normal build, and then you can map it to some web server like Apache or Nginx. Okay, so yes, there are a lot to discuss, and I have to go home now. So I'm in office from morning, I think 9. Okay, so that is it, guys. Thank you for joining the session. So see you everyone in the next live session. Okay, bye bye.